Welcome, members. How is everybody? I hope everyone's having a fantastic weekend. I wanted to continue and go through the final case of the Apache 3800s, and then we'll go into fixed blades, and there are more knives to go through because y'all are getting the complete collection dive. So by now we've seen case number one. This is a VV case collectively. Case number two, the Kaiser slash I guess we could call it the Finch case. Case number three, which is our USA case, and then we have case number four. And case number four are all of my favorite knives that don't fall into the really any category. And I think you guys will kind of get a feel. Some of them are together. Keep in mind, I've got an OCD type brain. It's also ADHD, so that means it's very scattered. But this case is most recent edition, and we'll just jump right into it, is the Quiet Carry 9. The Quiet Carry 9 is new to the collection. It is fantastic. I've seen some videos about it. You can see it's got smuts on the blade because I just pulled it out of my pocket, not out of the case. But I'd heard about the D10 on this knife. I heard about the action on this knife. It's 20 CV. It is titanium. I thought it was carbon fiber, which I did not really like the different carbon fibers, not because I don't like carbon fiber, but because I like the titanium look that Quiet Carry offers, but after a closer inspection, I realized that that is actually micarta inlaid, done very, very well. And let's see if I can get it to pop out of the texture. Oh, I guess it's not going to. There it is. So yeah, you've got the Quiet Carry, four little holes, kind of their signature. See that great lock bar access, that deep belly on that clip point blade. The Quiet Carry 9 is a fantastic, fun knife. I've enjoyed it. It's going back in my pocket. I've got one in my back pocket. This really we might show, but the first knife in this collection is my Sharp by Designs Bowie Blade Mini Tempest. And I think this knife was one that there was a time when I thought about selling it. And the reason I thought about selling it is it was not the drop point and I couldn't get it on a consistent flick. I mean, it's got some of the best action. The top flipper is dialed in, and I don't like top flipper knives. Y'all know that. But Brian Nadeau does it better than anybody else, and I can usually get that flick if I just don't think about it, but not as consistently as I'd like to. This is titanium, carbon fiber, M390 blade, Sharp by Design Mini Tempest. Again, one that I thought about selling. I actually had it on Instagram. Got it pretty close down there, under 300 bucks. Pulled it off because it wasn't getting a lot of action. Started carrying it again. Really do appreciate this knife. Probably one of the knives with the best action in my collection in terms of just being well tuned. Just great knife. Moving on, we come down to what I call Wee Corner. So I don't have a lot of Wee knives. I've got some knives that were manufactured by Wee, but knives that were actually marketed by Wee and or designed by Wee. And this is the Wee Fornix. This is a knife that really surprised me on a couple of fronts. I got it early on in my collection. I liked it because it had the blade hole, and I was kind of flipper crazy. I liked the blade style. I thought it was very aggressive. I liked the forward choil that kind of lets you get up on that blade. And then I like the fact that this knife came in at $199. They made it in two variations: the raw titanium, and then they also made it in the dark titanium. I think there were either 1 or 300 units per colorway, and I think they've sold out now and it's not available. But it was one that just didn't take off with a lot of fanfare. So when I got this knife, it's never been really drop shutty because it is so thin, and it's just kind of like a big full-size gentleman's folder because it is, again, thin and slicey. But I put skiffs in it, and it doesn't drop, so to speak. It'll drop to your thumb. And again, this is not important. Drop shutty does not matter. I'm just talking about how I like it. flipper tab got me, but it will drop to my thumb, then take a little shake and get it down. That is the Wee Fornix. It will probably always be in the collection. Love this knife. Moving on, the Blade Show purchase last year that made me overlook this knife that I really wanted, but I love this knife, and I'm just kidding because I wanted this one too. That's why I didn't notice the one that's coming up next. But this is the Wee Mini Malice Fair and Forge collaboration. A small to medium sized knife with a very usable forward finger choil, button lock. It's got the fuller that you can easily flick. It's a flipper tab, very easy to deploy, very easy to close up. What more can you say? It's a 20 CV blade, I want to say. Whoops. You'll have to go to the Googles. I think it's 20 CV, but I don't know exactly what blade steel it is. It's not showing me on there, and I don't have time to dig for it. But anyways, that's the Fair and Forge collaboration with Wee, the Mini Malice. Great butt lock. Really like this knife. Even though it kept me at Blade Show last year from even noticing this knife, that I had to hunt a little bit harder than I would have liked to. This is the Wee Vision R, which is a Snex design, a little finger flicking knife with a nice sheep's foot blade, very good ergos, very thin, unique construction. The pocket clip that sits on the back of the spine of the body here as opposed to on the side works very well. Believe it or not, it goes in and out of pocket great. Khakis, the type of pants I wear to work, it just is to die for. I've heard people complain about the shark, or this not shark lock, this Snex lock that actually predated the shark lock. And they're different locks. The spring mechanism is at the back. But I've heard people say it's sharp. Well, it's sharp. It's sharp. It's not sharp. It's just not altogether smooth, and it's not set up to where, for me, it's a great little ledge to get my finger on. I know what it's there for. Just pull back on it. But yes, there's no jimping on it. Some people whine that it's sharp. I'm not taking anything away from those who whine that it's sharp, but I just would argue that it's just different. It's different. It doesn't seem as refined in terms of put your finger there. It's not as welcoming, we'll say. But I love this knife, and this is the Wee Vision R, a Snex design with the Snex lock. Moving on, we come to a fantastic Wee that also starts the turn of the corner down the Tide Knife and Tool Co. portion of the case. And this is the Wee Roxy 3 in the dark titanium, which all my Tide Knife and Tools, as I've collected them, have kind of fallen into this colorway. That is by design, by what I've looked for. I think we've done some reviews on some of these knives. They are really done well from a design standpoint, from a utilization of that forward choil, the way that they access or give you access for this lock bar. They don't let you come at it from the side, which is not necessary. They just really mill it out nicely there to where your thumb goes right into it. You can go right at it, and it just really is smooth, well done. I don't know how much of it's Wee. I'm sure the execution is a good bit of it, and how much of it's the design from Todd Knife and Tool. But this knife came together very well, and I do like to give some credit to Todd Knife and Tool because the next three knives that we're going to look at come from a different manufacturer, but they're also Todd Knife and Tool collaborations. And these are the Todd Knife and Tool collaborations with Best Tech. This is probably the most ostentatious one of them, the least actually usable. Yeah, although it's very, very usable. But I mean, practicality, we'll look at it and we'll let you guys decide. But this is the Best Tech malware. The Best Tech malware is a splinter remover, guys. It is a Warncliffe knife, full sized, fantastic finger choil. You could dig splinters out of your finger with that tip all day long. It is pokey pokey. It has fantastic action. Got the same lock bar access milled out. Action on it's fantastic. Snappy, sharp, just a nice knife, guys. And that's the Todd Knife and Tool Best Tech malware. And moving on into Tide Knife and Tool land, we come up to the front flipping exploit. The exploit is kind of the Shodan, which is one of my favorite Tide Knife and Tool best tech knives, little brother. So this guy is more of an EDC style knife in terms of size. I'm gonna say it's right around a 3.25 inch blade. It's got a nice handle where I can get a regular grip or that inviting choil. It's a small knife, not small, it's a medium sized knife. It's a front flipper. I don't do front flippers as I fail that. I'd rather flick the knife, but this knife has the same design characteristics as all we see with the Todd knife and tool, whether it be that signature 3 holes in the scales, whether it be the way that they give you the access for that lock bar that really is intuitive and works very well. This is a front flipper where the Shodan is a traditional flipper, but again, they all come with deep fullers that you can flick, finger holes that you can flick, and they're just great knives. That's the best tech exploit, and it will take us to our last Todd knife and tool knife currently in the collection, and it is my favorite. It is a beefy, sexy, I think, knife, and it is the Shodan, the best tech Todd knife and tool Shodan. So this is a traditional flipper, very, very snappy. The D10 is just absolutely dialed on this. We've got our same milled out lock bar access, even with a little bit more because it's got the choil there. You've got this grip. You've got this grip. You've got probably close to a 3.75 inch blade. Really nice cutting edge, probably 3.5 inch cutting edge. Um, just a really well done finger choil that really locks you in. Again, I've always kind of referred to these knives as futuristic-y, steampunky, floating back spacers. They're just really appealing to me. They're angular, not my normal jam, but definitely a designer, maker whose designs speak to me. That's Todd Knife and Tool, Best Tech Shodan. So moving on, kind of curve around here to miscellaneous corner, but this is an old school drop fair and forge buck. I've always been a fair and forge fan. This is one of the smaller kind of gentleman's cleavers. It's just a neat little knife. Fits my hand well, titanium. I want to say it's S35VN. Um, Fantastic action. I like the brushed satin finish on this knife. I like the blue titanium. I do like the backspacer. That's a little kind of an accent color. The clip works really well. The action's just spot on. And it is a traditional flipper for people who don't like to reverse flick or thumb roll. But yeah, just a great little gentleman's folder with a tall blade that you can really employ for more than just your daily letter opening type tasks. Then moving on, one of my favorite button locks, the Max Ace Babylon 1. The Max Ace Babylon 1 is a knife that I was first turned on to by one of Therapeutic Edge's Peter video. I thought it was one of the coolest knives from an actual look standpoint. I love the way Max Ace does the grinds on their knives. I love the way they do their blade holes. I love the fact this was titanium with a really beefy backspacer, really beefy blade stock. Fantastic button lock. I mean, just amazing. And you've got these thumb studs that are also your stops that you can flick them off the studs, you can flick it off the fuller, you can flick it out of the hole, out of the little depression up front, just wherever you want. And then the ergos on this knife, it's just a cutter, guys. It's that 3/4 hollow grind or 3/4 flat grind, but it terminates down to a real slicey edge. M390 titanium, Max Ace construction, just a well done knife. Moving on, we come to a knife that has stayed in my collection that I actually love, and there was a lot of people that didn't love it, but it is the Avant by Luft Concepts. This is Bearded Gear's first knife design, and I really dig it. I like the fact that it's super light. I like the fact that it's very easy to flick. I like the fact that it's got a really good flipper tab. I like the fact that it's got titanium liners. Really nice titanium backspacer, really understated, elegant titanium or wire clip, M390, opens and closes like a dream. Right now it's got a little lint in it, but it does drop right to my thumb once it gets loosened up a little bit. It's been in the case for a while, only because I have too many knives, guys. I do carry this one quite often. It's got a really good edge on there, about 17 degrees. Like I like my edges. It's sharpened up great. Um, yeah, I mean, I was very, very close to getting either the tie or one of the other finishes of the Avant, or however you want to pronounce that. But I didn't because I had that one. Moving on, this is kind of a newer knife to the collection, probably so much that I'll mispronounce it. It's the Giant Mouse Atelier, or what I call and refer to as the Baby Grand. It is a smaller than, and we'll just go ahead and skip ahead and pull out the Ace Grand. So I think it's just a smaller version of the Ace Grand. I mean, I've looked at them close together and all the stylistic lines and everything are pretty much the same. So we'll come back to this. But this is the Micarta and LMAX, has great action. I'm a big Giant Mouse fan, guys. I even feel like my Biblio is actually one of the good ones, and I feel blessed in that. I've kept it in my collection. But this knife, the Micarta's done really well. The titanium liners are done really well. The stainless liner, stainless clip, wire clip, LMAX steel, really good action, great access to that finger hole. Can't get it to focus, but it says Giant Max LMAX there, or Giant Mouse LMAX there. And sorry, it is very late at night, guys, when I'm recording this. Early in the morning, actually, but we're having fun. So that is the Giant Mouse um, Atelier. I went mentally blank there. Next one's not really a Giant Mouse, but it stays in that part of the case. This is the little Vox Dapper, little Blade HQ exclusive. As much as you guys know, I have a little bit of a past with Blade HQ. This little knife showed up to me from Blade HQ where I had to purchase it because it's an exclusive in a Blade HQ box. And I was like, holy crap. And E&G EDC is the one that actually turned me on to this knife during Pocket Metal, our man Pocket Metal's live streams. And he was talking about, John, you just got to check it out. It's got the best action. I was like, sorry, Ian, I don't do flipper only knives. He's like, John, it's on sale right now for $104. Trust me, I would not steer you down the path. And for $104, I took Ian's advice, trusted him mindlessly because it goes against everything that I'm into in knives right now. And guys, I will tell you, this little knife is fantastic. Is it a $200 knife? I don't know. But is it a $100 knife? For me, it absolutely was. It's M390. It is very, very slicey. I say it's M390. That was a guess. Yes, it's M390. Made in Italy. I know what you're going to say. A heat treat, heat treat, heat treat. Guys, it's sharp, it's small. It'll cut anything or anybody I need it to before it ever gets dull. And when it does, I'll sharpen it. But as we move on, we come to a really cool giant mouse in my collection, and I really like the Jutland. This reminds me, it kind of came out around the time the Benchmade, I'll forget the name of it, the Benchmade tagged out came out. And I was, not really looking. I like the silhouette of the knife. I like the thinness of the tagged out, which this is by no means is thin, but it's very similar. It serves a similar purpose. It's a thin, nice, slicey, skinny EDC knife done well by Giant Mouse with great materials. I think this one's LMAX, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, this one's LMAX and micarta. And guys, like I say, I've been a Giant Mouse fan. I really like them. I've had very few problems with my Giant Mouses, even including my Giant Mouse Ace Biblio, which is the OG variant in carbon fiber liner lock. I think this one is an M390. Has the snappiest D10 ever. I have put an edge on this knife because I'd heard how bad the heat treat was, but I sharpened it up. It felt good on the stones. It's held an edge for what it's been used for, which is primarily cutting cardboard. My lighting's doing that terrible. But it's got good action. It's got, whoop, as I double clutch it, it's got good action. It's got a great ergonomic grip for my little hand, medium to large size hand. It's not little, but it's a littler than most of you sausage finger guys. But yeah, the Ace Biblio is one that I've kept in my collection. I've thought about every now and then selling it. It's perfectly centered. I don't carry it enough, but when I do, I enjoy it. It makes me feel good. It stayed my number one case, so I like it for a reason, right? And then we've got the Ace Grand. This is actually my second Ace Grand. The first one in LMAX I traded with my brother Dark Gravity for another knife that I think's in this case somewhere. But this is the St. Nick's Knives Vandus Steel Edition, and this is why I actually traded with him because I did not need 2 grands, and I did want this one because I didn't have any Vandus Steel in my collection. And I'm not a steel snob, and I don't know anything about steels in all reality, but to me, it's kind of like collecting anything. It's different, right? So I've got a big grand, a baby grand, and one with Vandus Steel. So that's really the methodology to what made me purchase those. So now we're coming up towards the middle of the case here. And this is a knife that I think Lefty EDC, without knowing, convinced me to buy. And it is a fantastic knife. And I'll tell you why. I'm not trying to rhyme, but give me one sec. Sorry about that, guys. I was getting parched. I had to grab my Dr. Pepper before I talked through the rest of this case. I appreciate y'all's patience. All right, back to the lecture at hand. This is the Monterey Bay Knives slayback, the regular size slayback. This little bad guy is in ZDP 189. You can see where it's folded over there and melded into the blade steel. I think it's finished off at 63 or 64 Rockwell. This little knife fits the hand just amazingly well. You can get up and hold that trigger if you want to get more control over that blade. That blade is very slicey. The action is dialed in. Sanford and Ray killed it on this knife, so much so that they made the big version that a good friend of mine has, and it's just as good. It's a little bigger than I'd like. I'm kind of comfortable with this regular 3-inch version, but they also make the extra, the large slayback. So Monterey Bay knives, guys, they're on point, and I love the ones I have in my collection. The second one I have in my collection is probably one of the more untraditional type of knives that I've got in my collection. It doesn't really fit what I like anymore. It's a flipper only knife, but there's something about this knife that not only I love, but my brother from another mother, A to Z EDC, became enamored with this knife as well, and he has 3 in his collection. And this is the Monterey Bay Knives Turbo. And I think what makes this knife so endearing is also the ZDP 189. It is a tactical folder. It is very slicey, but it's got that really wicked swedge. And again, it does have more of a tactical feel to it, but the action is amazing. The detent, listen to it snap in. And that's the Monterey Bay Knives Turbo. It's a medium-sized knife, one I really like. Every Monterey Bay knife that I've owned or had the pleasure of owning, I've really enjoyed it. And now we come to the knife that I traded Dark Gravity one of my Ace Grands for. And it is the Concept Knives Bulldozer in titanium with a Moku tie pocket clip and a Moku tie pivot collar. I want to say this is in 20 CV. And guys, it is a very cool knife. So it's a front flipper, but it's got such a tall sheep's foot blade that you could easily middle finger flick this off of the blade. And I'm sure I'll fail it trying to show you, but no, I didn't fail at that time. It's drop shut action. Got a very neutral handle. And for cutting things, whether that be cardboard, whether that be rope, whether that be cutting stuff in the kitchen, I mean, this knife would be up to really any task as I fail it because I'm holding it wrong. Trying to front flip, which I should never do. I should just stick with. I wish it did have a fuller or something that would give you a little grip. But again, with that blade, I don't know if it's the fact that it's a blackened blade that it allows you to flick it, but I can get it every time. You can't really see my Mokutai clip, can you? There you go. And the pivot collars. But that is the Kaiser Bulldozer. Now we're going to come to everybody's favorite knife, except for Grumpy Grunt, who hates it, and that is the Urban EDC F5.5. I've got the Brown Micarta version that has one of the weaker detents, but I'm one of those people that says I've had this knife since it had a weak detent and really didn't know. I knew the detent was weak, but I knew how to overcome that by just adjusting where I flicked it from. And then when Grateful Panic joined me and he had a couple of these guys and I felt them with really snappy detents, I can definitely see the difference. But it doesn't change anything for me as I fail it in terms of the way the knife feels in my hand, the way that the jimping's done, the way that I've got that front finger choil, the fact that it's very, very light, that I carry it with me everywhere. It gets a ton of pocket time. It gets a lot of time cutting stuff. And it's just a wonderful little knife. Do I wish it had a snappier detent? Sure. Would I know if I hadn't handled some that were a lot snappier? Probably not. Because I learned how to overcome those things that, if you carry as many knives as we all do, they're all going to have different little intricacies, right? So it's not uncommon that you're going to have to take a little time and jive with the knife you're carrying. That's a first world problem, by the way. We're lucky to have it. Now, as we go through my Tucsons, which we're going down Tucson Alley, and yes, they stay in the nice case because I love these knives. I won't remember all the numbers in this video, but that's okay. We don't need all the numbers. This is one of the best. This is the M398, I think it is. I don't think it's M390. I think it's M398. It has fantastic action. Got a really cool blade. Fits in the hand very well. I love the satin grind on it. I don't know if you can see the milling because it's got that ano on it. And it came like that. But I don't know if you can see this milling up top. There you go. And it's got this great front finger choil. Drop shut action. Just a great knife. And guys, I really do feel that Tucsons are some of the best value per dollar if you're looking for knives that if they speak to you and you want to try them out. I don't have any ill will on Tucson. Back to Max Ace. This is probably the best value of any knife right now if you can find it. This knife was $142. It is the Max Ace Black Mirror. It is M390 and titanium. It has some of the best lock bar access. Very simple understated knife with a nice sharpening choil, a really nice blade, done very well. The only thing that I wish was different, I don't like the bronze accents, and I don't like Max Ace branding the clip, but that's okay. It is a fantastic knife. Has great action, thumb hole or blade hole deployment only. It's a really good knife. Moving on, we come to another Tucson that I don't have the number of right now. But I'll look on the blade and I can get you this one. This is the TS 338. It is a button lock. It is D2. It is done really well. The micarta is top notch. If I can get it to focus on it. Top notch micarta, titanium bolsters, D2 blade, which is treated, which will be fine for what I use it for. It's very sharp. Button lock works great. Has very overbuilt thumb studs, but snaps into place. The clip works really well. And it's just a very enjoyable knife. And this next one is one that I saw on Jared Neve's channel. And this knife really attracted me because not only the price point, but the materials used to construct it. It's micarta, carbon fiber, titanium. I want to say this is D2, and this is the TS 301. Got this little trailing point blade, guys, but the way that the finger choil is built into the handle, the sharpening choil right there, this buttery smooth bolster lock action that is just, I mean, on point for a thumb flick, for a reverse flick, any way you want it. This knife is going to deploy, and I just think it's a fantastic Tucson specimen. Thanks, Jared Neves, for pointing this one out to me. So moving on, we're at about their halfway point here. And this is the God of Mischief, the GOM, the Renegade Provisions God of Mischief. And this, guys, will probably be in one of my top 5 knives. I absolutely love it. I love the way it fits in my hand. I love the way it feels when I carry it. I love the way the micarta handles and the titanium feels soft and rounded in my hand. I like the way it's got understated jimping, drop shut action, snappy as it can be. You can even see my fingernail dust in that hole because it locks it in. And I'm probably about to split my fingernail open if I don't adjust my grip when I let that go down. But that is the Renegade Provisions, God of Mischief, just fantastic knife and one of my top 5s for shiz. So moving on, we come to my number 1. Nope. Sorry about that, guys. I thought we were on a different row. This was the first Tucson that I got, and this is another Jared Neves recommendation from his channel. And it was a good recommendation because this knife is done so well. This one's an M390. It's got the milled titanium, carbon fiber, great access to the lock bar there. Got a little doodad slot if you want a doodad on it. Has great action. If you don't want the front flipper, you can middle finger flick it or thumb flick it, or you can hit that really roostery front flipper tab that kind of sticks up here. That's really hard to miss. Easy front flipping knife, and even easier middle finger flicking knife. Just a really good one, and it is the TS. It doesn't say, but it's a. I want to say it's a 229 maybe. These Tucsons are well done knives, guys. Moving on, we come to another Tucson, and this is probably one of the snappiest, and this is a collaboration with our friend Colin Mason Pierre, the brilliant half of Devo Knives, Lefty's partner in the Devo game. And this is a titanium knife with carbon fiber inlays and one of the snappiest actions ever. Ergonomic to the point of being just almost insane how soft the titanium handles are, and they are thicker handles, but it works so well for this size knife and any type of grip you'd ever want to hold it in. And it's got that forward choil. It is a smaller knife, but it's a beefy knife. And again, the action is super, super snappy. This is in a 14C28N, I think. And it is the Tucson CM Knife Works. It is the 319, TS 319, and it is 14C28N, like I mispronounced there. Really nice knife. Has a recessed kind of liner lock or inset liner there. Just really done well. So moving on, and this is Tucson Alley here, guys. So this is a little bit of Tucson, and then hopefully we'll be out of Tucson for a while. This is the Tucson Sidewinder. This is a fantastic knife, guys. This is an M390, absolute drop shutty front flipper Tonto that I just somehow with my cut finger didn't get on it good. But it is a Tonto that's very dusty because it's been in the case. M390 blade steel, titanium, 3/4 back spacer, nice jimping, very nice action, very sharp, and just a winner of a knife, guys. That's the Tucson Sidewinder, which is also affectionately known as the, it doesn't have a number on it. Sorry. If you Google a video of the Sidewinder, you'll be able to find it. And then we've got one of our overbuilt Tucsons. We have two overbuilt Tucsons in a row. But this is just a great knife, guys. Yes, it's D2. I think it's D2. Nope, it's 14C28N. And it's a Tucson TS380. And it is a beefy, chunky, full-sized work knife. Recessed frame lock. Drop shutty. Hydraulic light. Got a nice drop point blade. And again, that's got thick behind the spine, comes down to a really sharp edge. And I just love the belly up front. I love the way that the blade is designed, the shape of it. I love the way Tucson does their carbon fiber. Just another winner. Which brings us to our most overbuilt Tucson. And that is the TS346. It is bigger than my Medfords, which I've got some of the smaller Medfords. But that is a D2 blade with titanium guys on washers that is smooth, that is very ergonomical, that has a great front finger choil that you could stick through a car door. Yes, it's D2, it's treated. That's a slab of D2. It's got some of the strongest lockup that you could ever want. It's just a beast of a knife, guys. And this knife you can get at White Mountain Knives when it's in stock for right around $109. Tucson has some great values if you're looking for something different. Next, we have what I consider the Chris Reeves Tucson. This knife is unique. It's not my normal jam and style. Thumb stud only. It's the TS 289. But it's a nice trailing point. I want you to look at the milling if I can get it to focus. You've got one pattern going around the pivot, and then you've got two patterns going down the body of the knife. And on the show side, I mean, it almost flows. Look at that milling, guys. But this knife is so elegantly done, So well balanced, so droppy, very hydraulic-y. You can slow roll it, Chris Reeve style. If that's what you're into, where you can get it to fly out of there. But that is the Tucson TS269 ND2. Nice poon, nice studs, fantastic milling, fantastic construction, T8s all the way around. Just really well done, guys. Moving on, and we're out of Tucson land. This is the Arcform Design Slimfoot. This is one of my earlier nice knives, my Riot made knives, probably my first Riot made knives. And it is the Arcform Slimfoot, flipper only. I grew out of the flipper only real quick, but this knife has stayed around because I love it. I love the design. I love tough knives. I love the blade steel. I love the micarta inlays. I think it's a really cool knife, guys. Balanced very well. Gives me the joys when I carry it. And it's one that does get a lot of carry because it is kind of like a gentleman's thinner folder, but it's robust enough to use. Really, if I need to get in there and do any work, I know this knife's going to be up for the task. It disappears in pocket, doesn't look intimidating. I think it's kind of an elegant knife, but I really dig it, and that's the Arcform Slimfoot. So moving on, we come to my number one in my collection still. That's the Liang Ma Field Duty. Mine is in black G10. It is the Field Duty EDC, so it is the 3-inch variant. It is absolutely fantastic. I will never get rid of it. I love everything about it. It is the number one knife in my collection. And I just can't say enough nice things about it. It's got some nice unibody construction there, monoblock construction. Just a fantastic knife. I liked it so much that I got the Cuff 3.0, which I love. Don't get me wrong. I love this knife. I carry this knife all the time. It's a fantastic knife, but it's not a field duty. It's not my field duty EDC, but it's a great knife. Same type of gig. It's the same titanium with G10 handles. I do that on purpose. I like the G10 on these knives above full tie and above the carbon fiber. But this is a Cuff 3.0 kitchen utility folder, so it is a multi-purpose knife that you can use for EDC type tasks. You can use it in the kitchen, you can use it in the camp out, around the fire. It's just a winner, guys. It's a small knife, small to very medium, but it's a good one. And then, as we continue on, we come to one of my favorite manufacturers or designers, which is EMP for EDC. EMP EDC, every man's pocket carry. And this is the Nimble X. This is John's second design, if I'm not mistaken. After the original success of the Nimble and people were asking for a larger knife, he made this knife available on a pre-order in both the Nimble blade and in the sheep's foot blade. And I chose the sheep's foot blade, but it took this knife that has multiple deployment options and it put it on a larger platform, which I could appreciate because the Nimble is a great knife. It's very fidgety, but it's very small. Nimble X kind of answered that question for those bigger-handed people who are looking for a more full-size Nimble. Which brings us to the OG Nimble, another one of my top knives. Just highly refined, guys. Fantastic action. Super easy to deploy. Multiple different ways. M390 blade. Just a winner, guys. I love EMP. I love John and Jamie Rusk. I love what they're doing with the knife game, turning it on its head. I love the fact that they're making killer knives. I love the fact that they brought out this third one, which was the second knife that they brought out, which was the Thick Boy version 1. I got mine in black micarta. This is one of my favorite knives. I don't have the version 2 where they improved on that choil and gave you a little more cutting edge. But this knife is never, I know with John, when he does improvements or he does next versions, he's going to make them better. He's going to find things to improve on. To me, this knife's perfect. I don't need anything else done to it. Absolutely love it. But that is the Best Tech manufactured EMP EDC Thick Boy, and it rounds out my current EMP EDC collection. And then that'll take us to Kung Wu Corner before we hit the backstretch. As you guys know, I'm a huge fan of Kung Wu knives. Always have been since I got the Big Tao. And this is my most recent Kung Wu that I've not put the heavy springs in yet, but I'm going to. This is the Pulsar and L-Max. Pulsar and L-Max is a bar style lock. It has very light detent right now because it is an axis lock, so it doesn't really have a detent per se. And those springs are very light. You can tell when you pull on them. The great thing about Kunwu is they were aware of that, and when they shipped these knives out with this extra set of axis springs, they also sent what they called the heavy set, and they sent them in a separate bag that says heavy springs. So as soon as I decided to break this knife down, which will probably be sometime over the weekend when I'm shooting this, I will put in the heavier springs. So I've seen a couple of videos where they do give it a little bit more pop, and that's the only thing that I would like to see better about this knife, and I've got everything I need from the manufacturer to make it better. And better is subjective when you're talking about detent or a nice flickability, so I get it. But I'm a big fan in this particular knife. That's the Kunwu Pulsar. Then we've got the Kunwu X-Tau, which utilizes the same bar locks. Whoop. L-Max blade steel. Got that nice shred carbon fiber. Yep, that's L-Max. I think it's the next one that's my Big Tau, which has the multiple deployments. I think that might be M390. We'll check. But this is the same design as the X-Tau, just with a different locking mechanism. So again, that's Kunwu kind of improving on their design, doing something different, which I can respect. And they're really plugged into the knife community, guys. They send knives out to people to review, to get feedback on. And this Big Tau is an M390. And I've heard from people who test and heat treat knives, test and see what the blade steel is, that Kunwu does heat treat their stuff pretty well. So that is the Kunwu Big Tau. And we will move on as we work through this box, and we will come to one of my top fives, without a doubt. Excuse me, guys. That is the Brian Brown Jaeger. I love it. EDC Specialties Edition. Micarta. DLC coated blade. Deep hollow grind. Drop shutty. Just a banger knife, guys. I love this knife. Probably my top three. The Brian Brown Jaeger. And then moving on, we come across the Jason Grant gripper. And my gripper's changed just a little bit because I changed out the pivot collars. Sorry, guys. So the gripper came with brass pivot collars to give a little pop color. But I was hooked up with a brother from the community who happened to have a set of black pivot collars so I could murder out my gripper. I thought that was awesome. One of my favorite knives, the Wicked Warncliffe, done very well. Multiple deployments. I didn't get that hard enough because it is about a 4-inch blade, guys. Which brings us to what's coming out soon. I don't like front flipping. In my back pocket today, I'm trying to get some use with the Gripper V2 that you guys have seen as members. I'm still carrying it. I know Bod doesn't have it yet. But the Gripper V2 is going to come in smaller. It's going to be a flat grind. It's a little bit beefier, taller handle. Fits really well in my hand. I love it. I love it more than the Gripper V1 just because of the size. I love the way the spine integrates with the back spacer just to make a solid lockup knife. I love the G-lock. Love everything about it, man. Jason Grant, Brass Brigades, check him out. He's also doing some really cool fixed blades. Happen to have one right off camera here. This is the J-Cal that's getting ready to be sent out to Joe at Lancelot Leather. This is the little J-Cal cleaver, custom made for me. I've got one more coming my way, which will be 3. I don't have the other one out here because, like I said, I'm getting ready to send these 2 off to Master Joda for sheaths. I'm excited about that. And then let's get back into our next knife, which is kind of late to the collection. This is the Berg Blade Slim. This is an example of a knife that's made by WE, but it's not a WE knife, but it's definitely a WE knife. It's got this very unique carbon fiber. It's not like an Arctic carbon fiber. They call it a rose pattern. Stonewash blade, flipper deployment, little cleaver, kind of like my, kind of in the same vein as the Thick Boy, smaller EDC cleaver. But I really dig that knife, and that is the Berg Blade Slim, capital S, capital L, little I, capital L. And then we go to everybody's favorite designer, a guy who's about my height, from the Southeast, Dylan Mallory. And this is the Mallory design for us. I got this knife that was a hype knife several years ago or 2 years ago. And guys, for me, it has lived up to the hype. It is very light, titanium liners, carbon fiber, S35VN, extremely thin blade stock, extremely slicey, extremely pocketable, definitely in my top 10, might even find its way in my top 5. It was a great value. It was Dylan's first release, if I'm not mistaken, on his own. I wanted to support him, and I was really smitten by the knife, and it was an all the way around win. And that's the Dylan Mallory for us. Hey guys, we got 2 more knives in this box. The Vero Axon. This is my one and only Vero knife, and I absolutely love it. It's set up now wearing my Carta handles. I've also got some G10 handles for it in the black with the Arctic Storm type looking stuff, the white veins or whatever you want to call it, aluminum veins. And then I just love the micarta handles. I love the 3/4 inch back spacer, or 3/4 inch, 3/4 of the knife back spacer. I don't know why I say inch. Love the blade style. Love the drop shut action. This does have skiffs it's riding on, but it rides on them very well. N390 blade. Front flipper if you don't like using those finger tabs or those finger fullers to get in there. But yeah, guys, that is the Vero Axon liner lock, and I really dig it. Let's go to the last knife in this box. And keep in mind, guys, this is just the end of box number 4. Once we get through with box number 4, we will be able to jump into the door hanger, which will show us a lot of different stuff that I've got back. A lot of it makes it to giveaways to you guys, too. So the final one in my kind of catch-all box is my Chavez Redemption Street in G10. Yes, I didn't get the 229 when it dropped because for my hand, for my daily applications, Chavez Street Liberation, once I got it, has just been a perfect knife. This is the drop point because it's not as intense, but it is compound grind, is the Tonto. I love the deep hollow grind on the main cutting area of this knife. Then you've got this really thick acute point, this nice swedge, really well done jimping, Riot made. I'm gonna double clutch it. The action is to die for, snaps out, drop shut, smaller but beefier knife that when I have it in my pocket, I know no matter what I'm trying to cut or what I'm up against, this little shorter knife will hit the bill on all fronts. And that is the Chavez Redemption Street. So guys, that is case number 4. So y'all have now, if you've watched the videos, you've gone through everything in my case that, or cases, as of March 18th. So those are the cases as of March 18th, and then I'll film. Nothing's going to move around in the next week or so, but I've got these staged out now where I can drop case 3 next weekend and case 4, the one I just recorded the weekend after. So we might have some knives come in by then that I'll be able to kind of update some stuff with, do an updated collection dive, not the whole dive, just show you what's come, anything that might have gone. But guys, I'm so thankful that y'all are members. I'm so thankful that I can give you some extra content. Give me ideas in the comment of other things that you want, perks, early access to videos, what you guys, feel like would be make it worthy to continue to support the channel. Because I love having you guys in the chats. I love having you guys supporting the content. I love it when you look out for the guy or gal to your left. I love it when you look out for the guy or gal to your right. I love it when you look out for each other. I know it's tough. We all have different meanings. We all have different standings on the way we think life should be. But the best thing is just move forward with love in your heart. Choose debate over hate. You might learn something. Don't take everything so seriously. I love you all. Thanks for watching my collection dive. Peace.